Hello. So, welcome to a late edition of Mondays with Miko. Still getting my act together a little bit. Let me see. Where's my music at? Let me turn this off. Well, I hope everybody is having a great day. And I can't find the music, so hopefully I'm gonna just loop it, put it on mute, and you guys can't hear it. Well, hey, look, it's been a minute. And life has been hectic, but really cool. Really cool. With my day job, I tell you guys, I'm the executive director of Pick 42 Foundation, and we now have a storefront location on Main Street at Mullins, and it has taken so much time to pull together. We have a grand opening on Friday, so I hope to see you there. Part of the reason why I've been kind of single focused and haven't really done Mondays with Miko, but look, I'm not going to be before you long today. We got to talk about this election because you can vote today. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to, oh, by the way, hey, look, if you're here, I know it's late, but hey, let me know you're there in comments, okay? Love to make this a really good dialogue. So, couple things. One is there was a law passed this year in South Carolina that did a couple things. I really think this law was meant to disenfranchise the way people that look like me vote because it came after absentee ballot voting. Now, let me tell you, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with absentee ballot voting because if you vote absentee, you're not 100% guaranteed that your vote is going to count. And your vote gets counted last. But in person early voting, it's the exact same machines that's being used for in person early voting that's used on election day. So you know for a fact when you leave that polling place that your vote is being counted. Okay? There's a lot of good reasons, and there's a lot of good reasons why people have to vote early, and I get it. Now, one of the laws that changed was how people would go around collecting absentee ballot votes and then they would take them into the office, the voter registration office for you. That now is limited to 5. So if somebody is going to be collecting votes and taking them into the office, they can only do 5. If they do more than 5 votes, then it's a felony, a whole felony, y'all. So, but still, there's, I'm gonna say there's ways around it because they can go and gather the votes and put them in the mailbox for people. It's the same thing. But at the end of the day, and I've said this since I've been talking to you all, if you can go vote, go vote. And let me tell you what South Carolina did. So what South Carolina did is we are now a no vote, an early vote, no excuse state, which is only right because before you had to have one of the 18 reasons, in order to vote early, and that was utterly ridiculous. And it also wasn't consistent. Now, in front of a general election, is consistent. You have 2 weeks of early voting. So it starts today and it goes to November 5th. 2 weeks, which is pretty doggone cool. So you can get and vote anytime between now and November 5th. And then if you don't make it, then on November 8th, an actual election day. So, life, things happen in life. You may have to go out of town and you're not going to be here on election day. or my God forbid, it may rain really bad, or it may be really cold on election day. We cannot hold our lives, our livelihoods, and our children's lives to chance. So go vote, and go vote early. The polls are open. I say the polls with an S, but it's poll. We're going to talk about that. But the way you go, the place you go to vote, if for all of Marion County needs to go to the Marion County Admin Building that's located behind Bojangles in Marion. And that's atrocious because for 459 square miles of Marion, there's only one place for everybody to vote early. So if you're down in Britain's Neck, there's only one place. But come, okay? Definitely come up and vote. You got 2 weeks to vote. That should definitely be no excuses, right? There's no reason not to vote. So and actually the nonprofit, we're doing something really fun um in 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 um in Britain's Neck. We're gonna have a parade to the polls and the party at the polls. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Please check. We're going to be sharing information about that on the on our other page, and I'm going to share it on my personal page. But it's just not appropriate for me to talk about that on this live because we're going to talk about candidates. We're going to talk about candidates, and so those conversations have to be completely separate. Okay, so that being said, just to clarify for you guys, you can vote. You can vote now, and there's no excuses. You don't have to go in there before they ask you questions like, "Why are you coming in early?" I do nothing. It is just open. It's open every day from 8:30 a.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. Monday through Saturday. Okay, so this is nothing new. When I lived in Charlotte, when I lived in North Carolina, they had early vote. It's very, very convenient. And I am really, 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 really happy that finally South Carolina is doing something. But keep in mind, you know, the thinking is that African Americans, that's not how we typically vote. We typically going to wait till election day or use absentee ballot voting. So don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to chance. Our community and our kids are way too important for that. Now, usually I would have stuff that I can put up in the screen, but it's been a long day for sis. So I'm just going to go through some stuff that I've printed out, and I'm going to go through from the top of the ballot all the way down until we get to the city council races. All right, and just have just a little bit of dialogue, and tell you who my picks are if you care, but we could talk about it. So, governor, big deal. Henry McMaster, he is our incumbent. An incumbent means the person who's currently in the office, right? So South Carolina has lots of issues. South Carolina runs a surplus every year, but yet still you hear people saying South Carolina doesn't have any money. Not true. South Carolina has money. They just choose not to use their money to help regular people because of who's in office. South Carolina has not expanded Medicaid. And because they have not accepted the free money that comes from the federal government, so many people in South Carolina, they could be covered in medical insurance and they're not. And others, you can get money directly back in your check. So I'm telling you about Henry McMaster. Now, Joe Cunningham, he has said he's also running. He's a Democrat running. And he has said, I believe, did he say on day one that he would expand Medicaid, which is a big deal. It is a big, 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 big deal, right? Henry McMaster, I just, he's a Republican, and I'm not just saying just because he's a Republican, but he has very conservative Republican values that hurt the people in South Carolina, in this girl's opinion. So Joe Cunningham, he's a Democrat, and he stands for women's rights. I've heard him say that. I've heard him say, about Medicaid expansion. What he has not said is that he would that now he can't increase the minimum wage, but there's ways, there's things he could do, because when we elect a governor, we still will have a majority Democratic, I'm sorry, a majority Republican state house, right? So that's a big deal, and it's going to make it harder for a governor who's Democrat, but it's best to have a Democratic governor in place than a Republican. Trust. So when you look at governor, you're going to see Henry McMaster. He's the current guy, and you're going to see Joe Cunningham. He is the Democrat, and he's well funded. So being well funded, what that means to me is that Democrats lose a lot because they don't have the infrastructure, in my opinion. They try to do things on a budget, and they try to do things halfway. And the way I look at it, I think our people deserve the best. So I will give it to Joe Cunningham. He is well funded. And then there's a libertarian running. Don't waste your vote. I don't know Bruce Reeves. It may be a really good person, but no chance of winning. So Henry McMaster, Republican, and Joe Cunningham, the Democrat, and Joe Cunningham will do some things. Secretary of State, vote for one. Mark Harmon is a Republican. Rosamunda Peggy Butler is the Democrat. Don't know anything about any of those two folks, but there's a Republican and a Democrat running in that race. And for me, there's one party that's even close to working for the people, and that's not the Republicans. State treasurer, interesting enough, the Democratic Party did not put up a candidate. So you got Curtis Loftus, who's a Republican, and Sarah Work, who is an Alliance Party. Okay, so that's state treasurer. And here's the interesting thing about that. And I bet you, I'm not exactly sure, but this surplus that the South Carolina has every year, I bet your treasurer has a lot to do with how that gets managed. Attorney General, Alan Wilson is it. The Democrats didn't even try to put anybody up against Alan Wilson. Comptroller General, same thing. His name is Richard Ekstrom. He's a Republican. So he's in, he won. Superintendent of Education. Now, this is an interesting race. I'm going to start with the woman, the grassroots, Lisa Ellis. And I actually have her yard sign in my yard because she's very impressive. Because she's a regular person. She was in the classroom and she saw what was happening and didn't like it. And she started a Facebook group and she started her own grassroots movement. And then she decided, I'm going to run for state superintendent of education because I'm qualified and I could do it. And that's how we're really going to get change in our community. People like Lisa Ellis, who's just ready to stand up and say, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. It needs to be done. I'll do it. That's Lisa Ellis, and she is qualified, and she has a passion for children, and she was in the classroom. Now let's talk about Ellen Weaver just for a minute. Ellen Weaver is not qualified. So you have to have a master's degree in order to be the state superintendent of education. Well, what she did is she is in the process of buying one. The Bob Jones University, who should, if they have an accreditation, they should lose it, is giving her a fast track master's degree so that she can run for this office. That is just wrong. That is just wrong. Her values are wrong, just personally, let alone what she's going to do with our children. And we know that children in the school systems down here with South Carolina, somebody give me the right number. We're at the bottom. I want to think we were sixth from the bottom, but I don't think we're sixth from the bottom because we're the sixth in terms of sixth African state with African American population. I want to think something came out and we're like below. We're like one or two from the bottom in education. So this position is very, very important. So that's Ellen Weaver. She's a Republican. And when you go to vote, what you want to remember about her is she's cheating. She's cheating to be in this office. So why does she want to win so bad? And then Lisa Ellis, she's the one, she's running on the Democrat and the Alliance Party, and she's doing it because she cares. If you see her, she will tell you. She will tell you. And she's been hustling, and she's well funded, which I love to hear that. The Commission of Agriculture. So the Democrats also did not put anybody up for the Commission of Agriculture, but I do happen to kind of be connected to Chris Nellums. Chris Nellums is running on the United Citizens Party, and he's an African American man. And I happen to know his campaign manager, and I've seen their hustle. And the interesting thing about him is that he has a lot of the same views in terms of South Carolina being an agricultural state. So let's put it to work for all the people in South Carolina. Now, I frequently tell folks a stat that I was given that said if something like COVID that kind of cut everything off and shut down all the distribution channels, right? If something like that were to happen again, were to point where we could not get food into our state, it would take 3 days before people had to go to the bread lines and would be starving. Not because they couldn't afford to buy the food, but because the food just wasn't here to get. And this is in an agricultural state. In South Carolina, our soil is rich. There's no reason why that should not be the case. So anyway, I'm talking about Commission of Agriculture, which is a very important position. And there's 3 people running. Chris Nellums, who's somebody that I'm connected to, and I've talked to his campaign manager a lot about his candidacy. And I know they're hustling. And then you have David Edmond with the Green Party, don't know anything about him, and Hugh Weathers, who's the current Republican. Now, here's the thing. Don't know Hugh Weathers. Would love to get to know him. But the Commission of Agriculture and the Agriculture State, we should all know him, and we don't. All right. U.S. Senate, 2, right? Because U.S. Lindsey Graham is our senator, but he's in there. 6 years, I think. So this is Tim Scott, the Republican, running against Crystal Matthews, the Democrat. Okay? So Crystal really needs our help. We really got to go out there to get Crystal through because we are in a Republican state. So the way Crystal can win, the way Crystal needs to win, is she's got to get some of those Republicans to come over. Just like Joe Cunningham has to get some of the Republicans to come over. And Joe Cunningham definitely has been working on that. Okay? Tim Scott, you know where he stands? This dude is just crazy nuts. Crazy nuts. He is not for us. I don't know how else to say it. And I only have to tell you because he shows it every single time he opens up his mouth. And I happened to last year, maybe it was before COVID. I was at an event because I've tried to call his office. They don't take my calls. They don't take my calls. So I was at an event and I ran into his the person that represents. Sorry for scratching. You know how sometimes your ear buzzes. I ran into the person that's supposed to be representing Tim Scott in Marion County, and I asked him why I can't get in touch with him. Why nobody from the office returns my calls, and he gave me his card. So then I called him. He didn't return my call. Now here's the thing. I may be what do you want to call me? Left wing, right? Progressive, but you are still my senator. I am a constituent. And if that's how you treat your constituents, you do not deserve to be in office. You do not go and run for senator just to be the senator for the people who voted for you. Okay? And I will say that Crystal Matthews, she is a current rep. So she's Rep Crystal Matthews. She has won before in her district. And in her district, I think it was majority Republican. But they know that she's going to be a voice to the people. Okay? Okay, U.S. House of Representatives District 7. That's us. Russell Fry is a Trump pick, so I shouldn't have to say anymore. Darrell Scott is a Democrat. Okay, so you got Russell Fry, Trump. Do we want to send another Marjorie Taylor Greene? This should send everybody running to vote tomorrow. We do not want to send another Marjorie Taylor Greene to Congress. How embarrassing would it be when this guy gets there? He hasn't said much because he knows if he opens his mouth, his real truth will be exposed. Now, this is what I'm really concerned about with the House of Representatives District 7. This is the seat that Tom Rice used to hold. Well, he currently holds, right? And Tom Rice was run out of office because he voted to impeach Trump. And he was run out of office. But Tom Rice did excellent constituent services. The same way I just told you that Tim Scott's office won't even take my call, Tom Rice's office will. Matter of fact, y'all, if you need anything federally, call them before he gets out of office. Because he will do that. I will give him credit. He does constituent services. And we need a congressman that's going to be there for us if and when there comes to be another major hurricane. Tom Rice went to bat to get us money. He's Republican. I don't agree with him on almost nothing, but he went to bat. So this race right here, U.S. House of Representatives, District 7, is between Russell Fry, the Trump pick, and I read somewhere that he was against Highway 73. And we could talk about Highway 73 another time. But it's going to be an exit right here in Mullins. It's against it. I mean, it's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right? So, U.S. House District number 7. State House of Representative District number 57. So, this is the seat that I actually ran for. And he's going uncontested. And that's Lucas Atkinson. So, Lucas Atkinson will be our State House of Representative again, whether you vote for him or not. Okay? There's no Republican running against Lucas Atkinson. Solicitor Circuit number 12. I have no idea what that is, but there's only one Democrat running. I have no idea. Okay. Auditor. There's only one Democrat running and nobody else is running. So Vicki Jackson Cook. County Treasurer. This is interesting. County Treasurer, you may vote for one, and it's Alta S. Dubois, and it's a Democrat. Now, here's the deal in our county. You don't have no choice because nobody else ran against them. But a lot of times, the Democrats in our counties aren't really Democrats. We got to get better at selecting candidates to run for office, y'all. It's really important. County Council District number 5, it's only one Democrat running, and he's won. And this person actually represents me in my district. And his name is Tars Gilcrease. And I've talked to Tars right after he won, because when you win the primary and there's no Republican against you, you're automatically in the seat. And I asked him about having a community meeting for our district number 5. And he said he would. So let's see. I hope he does. He said it's something that he would do in January. Soil and Water District Commission. 2 candidates, both nonpartisan, Bruce Baker and Tyler Seagroves. I don't even know what the Soil and Water District Commission does, but it's kind of interesting. We're going to have to research that one together. All right, so let's go to the local races. All right, so I already told you about Tars Gilcrease running unopposed in County Council District number 5. So when you see Tars, go ahead and congratulate him. He's definitely won. Come January, he will be our County Council member. Down in the country, which is what I'm calling it, down where looking for the other page, in Britain's Neck, Grisham. Let's see if it's going to be here. There's a race, and it's interesting. Here it is. So this County Council District number 3. So the incumbent did not run. I think that was Shaw. He did not run for office. And so I'm seeing something that we haven't seen in Marion County in a long time. And that's a Republican. So if you live in Britain's Neck, Rains, Centenary, Grisham, y'all better hurry up and get to the polls because you got a real choice, okay? You have Joel Rogers, who's the Democrat, and I know him. He was one of our speakers one time at Juneteenth. He did the Juneteenth moments. So I do know him, and I've worked with him on when we were doing food drives down in Britain's Neck area, and I've seen him a few times. Okay, so he's the Democrat that's running for office, and running against him is Shane McDonald, who is a Republican. And again, this is shocking. It's shocking because Republicans in Marion County run on the Democratic ticket. They run on the Democratic ticket because they know they can't win with so many Democrats in Marion County. Marion County is 60% African Americans, and African Americans over 80% of the time vote Democrat. So, why run on a Republican ticket? One, kudos for Shane for doing things right and standing up for their values. You put Republican next to your name. We all know what that means. That's his values, and that's her. I'm not sure if it's a male or female, but that's good because you know what? Be honest about who you are. Be true about who you are. But that means that they're depending on African Americans not to vote. If African Americans don't show up in Grisham, Britain's Neck, Rains, Centenary, if you guys do not show up specifically to early vote, because you never know what's going to happen on that Thursday, on Tuesday, November 8th. If you do not show up, that seat that's been Democrat, when Shaw sat on it, you will lose it because they put somebody up, and that's unusual. Okay. Then you got district number 7. There is nobody running against. His name is Dwayne Teeney, and he won. The incumbent, Alyssa Smith, she was defeated in the primary. Okay, so if you are in District 7 and you're used to Alyssa Smith being your county council woman, you got a new one. And he will start January 1st. In January when they're sworn in, and his name is Dwayne Teeney. So make sure you call him, make sure you talk to him, make sure he knows who you are, make sure he knows what your issues are at the county level. If you got issues with your ditches not being cleaned, if you got issues with streets not being paved, if you got issues with um, dirt roads in your community, these are things that county council could pay. That's what they do. If you go to the council meeting, they do a lot. They have a lot of control and influence in terms of what happens in our county. If you want better paying jobs to come to our county, let Dwayne know. And I have met him. He's a good guy. Let him know what matters to you. Don't just let these folks take these seats and you don't tell them what's important to you as an individual. Okay? Really, really, really important. All right, so moving on. City Council in Mullins. So Mullins, my home city, has a city council race. I live in the outside the city limit. So for those of you that listen, it's like inside the city limit, outside the city limit. I live outside the city limit, so I don't get to vote in these races, even though I have houses and businesses in the cities. I don't think that's fair, but anyway. So City Council District number 2. You've got Andre Tico Campbell. He is an incumbent. And for city council, these races are nonpartisan, meaning that they don't have to tell you what party they're in. However, we know these people. You talk to them. It's important. Before you go vote, if you live in the city of Mullins and you're in city council district number 2, and Andre or Tico Campbell is your current city councilman, call him before you vote. He's accessible. Running against him is Albert Bo Woodbury. I don't know what his platform is. Can't tell you. I could tell you that Andre Campbell has been responsible for. He's on the marketing committee. I love Mullins and everything that's going on. And I know that he was responsible for building a new website. And if you go to the meetings, you can hear some of the other things that he has done since he came into office. I think he just came into office last year because he ran in the at-large seat. Remember, 2 years ago. Okay, so you got to choose between City Council District Number 2. You got to choose between keeping your incumbent, Andre Tico Campbell, or voting in somebody new, Albert Bo Woodbury. District Number 4. This is going to be a really hot race, I think, because you can see the signs going up and stuff around town. You have a long-term incumbent, Pat Phillips, and Pat Phillips is also the mayor pro tem. So she's been on city council for a while. She's the mayor pro tem. She does have a lot of experience, which you think about it, experience does matter, right? We want change, but you got to talk to him, okay? You got to call Pat Phillips. And she's running against Kendra Bruton Pompey, and you know that person too. Oh my goodness. Somebody's gonna commented some mess on my YouTube, but I'll fix that. I'll get rid of that mess. So anyway, so you know Pat Phillips. If you're in City Council District Number 4, everybody knows Pat Phillips and everybody knows Kendra Bruton Pompey. It's a phone call. Call them. Talk to them about what's important to you. If you're in District 4, if you got flooding issues, talk to them. The city is doing a lot of work. If you want the city to work on low income housing, affordable housing, talk to them. See what they're saying. See what they stand for. Don't go into the voting poll. You got 2 weeks. Talk to them. So in District Number 4, you have Pat Phillips and Kendra. Pat Phillips is the long-term incumbent and the mayor pro tem. And you have Kendra Bruton Pompey. And Kendra, I know her very well as well. But, I'm not going to comment on those races because it's up to you to call your friends and neighbors and let them know, hey, why are you running? Or, hey, why do you want re-election? And what are you going to do? And there's lots of good things happening in Mullins. Are you supporting the mayor? Or are you not supporting the mayor? And if you're supporting the mayor, how are you supporting the mayor? Are you just doing lip action? Or are you showing up for our new mayor? Ask them. And then there's City Council District Number 6. The incumbent is running unopposed, and that is Carolyn Ford Wilson. All right. So those are the races. Now, before I hang up, there's a local question and a statewide constitution amendment. And these are really important. And the interesting thing is a lot of times they're worded in such a way that could be kind of confusing. So, must Section 36A, Article 3 of the Constitution of this state relating to the General Reserve Fund be amended so as to provide that the General Reserve Fund of 5% of general fund revenue of the latest completed fiscal year must be increased each year by 0.5% of the general fund revenue of the latest completed fiscal year until it equals 7% of such revenues. Explanation. A yes vote will increase the amount of money state government must keep in the General Reserve Fund, it's a rainy day fund, from 5% of the previous revenues to 7% of the previous year's revenue. So remember I said, rainy day fund, South Carolina had surplus. I don't know why they don't spend it on the people. But make your decision on that one. Okay, another one. Must Section 36B, Article 3 of the Constitution of the state be amendment as to provide the Capital Reserve Fund of 2% of the general fund of the latest completed fiscal year be increased to 3% of the general fund revenue of the latest completed fiscal year, and deprive the first use of Capital Reserve Fund must be to offset mid-year budget reductions? Question mark. Explanation. A yes vote will increase the amount of money the state government must appropriate to the Capital Reserve Fund, the Reserve and Capital Improvements Fund, from 2% of the previous year's budget to 3% of the previous year's budget, and require the Capital Reserve Fund's first priority is to offset mid-year budget cuts at state agencies. I don't even understand what they're saying. It's to offset mid-year budget cuts at state agencies. So a yes vote will increase the amount of money the state government must appropriate for the Capital Reserve Fund. You want them to increase it or not? And we got a local question. Now here's the deal. Not a lot of times, they have to do these things because the Constitution of South Carolina says that they can't make these changes unless they put it on the ballot. Okay? So Marion County, and kudos to Marion County for putting it in English. So here it is. Marion County Council. So this impacts everybody in Marion County, whether you live in the city limit or outside the city limit. Marion County Council is proposing the following non-binding referendum question. In order to remain competitive with surrounding counties and continue providing public safety services at the current level without increasing property taxes, would you support a $35 annual public safety fee? So it's kind of strange because they say that in order to keep the services at the same level and not without increasing property taxes, they want us to pay an increase of $35. So that's like, no matter what, they're going to get it. Now, me personally, I'm voting no. Let me tell you why I'm voting no. I'm voting no because if you go and sit in on those county council meetings and you hear how they spend our money, it's going to make you sick to your stomach. So I'm sitting here saying to myself when I read this, why would I give them more money? And you sit there and you see how they spending money or increasing runways and working out deals that you hear kind of like, hey Diane, that you kind of hear, on you don't understand it because the the way they put it in the minutes, or not the minutes, the way they put it on the agenda is all this legalese. But they're working with this solar company, they're working on this deal, first reading, second reading, third reading, until they start talking to the people who live in Marion County in English about how they spending the money and why they would make a decision to spend $250,000 on an airport runway instead of fixing the problem in my backyard. And I keep going up there and I keep getting the same non-answer about when they're going to fix the ditches and the flooding, or how we can get the ditches just simply cut and clean, how we can get our streets taken care of without being bounced around. I get it. Some are county streets, some are state streets. I get that. But you know what? There's no support, in my opinion, coming from the county. So, but here's the flip side. This is where you gotta think about it. Is that so? Me personally, the way they spend money, I just don't like it. I just don't. I don't like how they allocate things. I don't like how they seem to be doing stuff on the sly. I don't feel it. And me personally, I think that in every time every county council seat is up, I am really glad to see changes at the county council seat. I just hope that the people who are taking those seats will go and take those seats with courage. Meaning that just because somebody says and puts a paper in front of you that this is what we need to do, that you're going to ask some questions. Now, the one person I will give credit to, and I hope that he goes back to being more verbal, because he kind of stopped it a little bit, is oh my goodness, the new guy on the county council, Robin. Oh, what's his name, y'all? I had it top of my head and I just lost it. Turner. When he first got on county council, and I was seeing him at those meetings, he was asking questions. Well, tell me again, what about my district? He's out there, he's doing the street cleanings, right? He's putting that on Facebook. He's cleaning up he's out there with them, you know? And then at the county council, he asked a question. It drives me crazy when they put something on the table to spend a whole lot of money and everybody doesn't give 2 cents. They just vote, aye, yes, it's done. I get it. They had the conversation before the meeting, and what we're seeing is just for show. But I don't feel it. I don't feel how that whole thing went down with the landscaping. One meeting I go, they said, oh, yeah, we're going to put the landscaping thing out for bid. And I was like, okay, great. So I start calling people around town that have landscaping businesses. I said, call over to the county. They're putting up for bid. Hopefully, they're not going to just give it all to one landscaper. They're going to be able to split it up. And then, some of our smaller businesses can get money back from the county. That's what we're in this together. We live in this county together. Shouldn't be about just a few people getting a whole bunch of money, right? Let's help everybody. So I'm telling them to call up there. Call up there. For the next meeting they had, I didn't stay, but I saw on the agenda they made a decision. Something tells me that decision was already made before that first meeting. So to me, until we can get more visibility into what's going on at Marion County Council, until I can walk in the building and feel like I'm not having daggers thrown at me, I think we need a replacement everywhere. But this is public safety. So I personally believe that if they take a good look at that budget, they can make some things work. But, I'm not on county council. So let me read it again. Marion County Council is proposing the following non-binding referendum question. In order to remain competitive with surrounding counties and to continue providing public safety services at the current level without increasing property taxes, would you support a $35 annual public safety fee? So my other question is, well, if you had to increase property taxes, how much would they go up? Right? So it's kind of weird. My vote is no. No, no, no. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If I wasn't wrong, if they wanted to be transparent with the community before they just threw that referendum on there, they would have some kind of marketing campaign. They would explain to us exactly where does $35 per household. It says, would you support a $35 annual public safety fee? Per what? It's going to be on our trash bill? Like what? I don't know. So I vote no. Anyway, that's it. We went through the whole ballot. So I know it's late. If you're watching this on replay, I thank you so much for sticking with me and watching it on replay. Reminder, the polls are open now. Early vote is the best way to go. You use the same machines, your vote gets in, and your sure is counted. That is the best way to go. I will be in the parking lot on Saturday between 11 and 2. So if you're coming to vote, come between 11 and 2, grab some food with us and say hi. Okay? One thing I will not be doing, which is why I wanted to go on this live, is oh well thank you. What I cannot tell you who to vote for when I have my work hat on. Okay? But this is time for change. I'm the activist right now. So I can say, all right? And I can say, and I will say, and I have said. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. And remember, last thing I gotta leave you with. 2 things. 1, you can vote now. This is different. This is a state law that has changed. That is no excuses, early vote. This is the wave of the future. We got to do it. What's despicable is that our county only has one location. We're going to be working with others. The Legal Defense Fund is interested. And actually, they need nonpartisan poll watchers to help at the county office, right? So people are looking at this and they're saying that it is not right that Marion County only has one polling location. But you know what? Let's show them that we're going to use that one polling location. You're not going to disenfranchise our vote. We're going to figure out a way to get there, and we're going to go. If you need a ride, call me. Call me. If you need a ride, call me. We'll get you there. All right? We will get you there. Second thing is in the city council races and the county. Is there a county council race? No, they're all running. There's one county council race. The Joel Rogers and the Shane. I forget the person's last name. But Joel Rogers and Shane down in Britain's Neck, Grisham, Centenary Reigns, right? And over in Mullen City, you got Pat Phillips, Kendra Bruton, Tico, and Bo Woodbury. Call them. We all know each other. These people want your vote, right? Call them. Listen to them. Listen to what they have to say. Tell them what's important to you, and then vote for the person that most closely aligns to your values. And if you're in the city of Mullins, make sure whoever you vote for is going to support Mayor Robert Woodbury, because he's doing big things in this city, and y'all don't even know the half of what he has planned and what he has dreamed of. We need a city council that's going to support that man. So if you don't ask them anything else, ask them where they stand on supporting Robert Woodbury. All right? I can't say I'm going to be here next week because so busy, so busy, especially with elections and everything going on. But at any point, I thank you for opening up your Facebook page to me and your time to me and sharing. And when I see you on the streets, I appreciate the love and support that comes from every single person that I encounter in this wonderful county. Hope you have a wonderful evening and a great week, and go vote.